snacks.
What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I am here with Sin. No jokes in the building, and probably not getting any jokes tonight. No
Yeah.
funny. However, you do have the two of us, and you are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week, talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And
Today,
today we don't have to do anything. Today we are going to recap our thoughts from AwesomeCon from this past weekend. We are going to dig in detailed fashion into the Switch 2 reveal, pricing. We're going to talk tariffs because it's a fact, it's a thing, it is what it is. And then we're going to check out a few trailers. There's some cool stuff that's coming our way, and we need to talk about it. So we're going to do that. But before we do that, Sin will get our beacons link up for you all in the chat so that you can follow us everywhere we are. There's a lot of content that we have that's coming out of AwesomeCon, and the best way to see it all is to be following us across the board on all those platforms. Sin also has a job to do of his own.
yes, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Indeed, we do. I'd also like to take this moment to remind you that pretty much all of our content, all of our shows, podcasts, etc., are also available on Spotify and other podcast services. So if you find yourself so inclined, please go there, check us out, give us a listen. We greatly appreciate it. Go ahead and follow us there so you can get notified when the new episodes go live. And if it turns out that that's easier for you to watch or listen, because you can do both, at least in Spotify, then do so, right? If Tuesday night's not your night, you got other things going on, and LS Weekly is better suited for you the following day or later on or what have you, or if it's easier to go back and listen to content that we've already done, that's a great way to do it. So please, by all means, go and check that out. Hey, Candace. So hello, Nana. Normally, I would start this off by saying, let's talk about AwesomeCon and what happened at AwesomeCon. Recap what happened at AwesomeCon and so forth. I'm not going to do that yet. We are going to get to that. But first, I want to talk about the Switch 2. Because there's a lot to cover. What's up, Heather? So last week we did our predictions for the Switch 2, and then the following day there was a Switch 2 Direct that kind of gave us all of the important information and proved us wrong across as it were. But we need to discuss that. And then there's been a lot of news about it and things around it in the days following.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to cover. So I actually want to start there. Sen, did you watch the Switch 2 stream last week?
I did. I watched it while I was at work.
Jerry said we need that Switch. Let me tell you something, Jerry. I'm glad you need it. I don't think I need it, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna talk about that. You said you watched some of it? Sen?
No, I watched the whole thing while I was at work. I watched the whole Direct while I was there, yeah.
Got a chance to really dig into it. So at least as far as the games that they showed off, what stood out to you?
Only two stood out to me is in the fact that I know I would buy those two games that I saw was Mario Kart World and the new Donkey Kong one. Those are two that I saw like, okay, I would get those and I would actually play the living mess out of those. Like I would for sure. I wouldn't pay the From Software one. I'm glad they have something like that coming to the Switch too. Like their own like Bloodborne or Dark Souls, whatever, something just exclusively for them. Whether it stays there, that's one thing. But I'm glad they seem to got some good stuff on their own, you know what I'm saying, just to try to hold down the Switch and bring people over there. But it was Mario Kart and Donkey Kong for me.
I mean, that makes sense. I'm pretty sure that that was what it was for most people.
Probably, yeah.
Um, Mario Kart probably more than anything else. What I will
Yeah,
say is
absolutely.
that Mario Kart World. What's up, Andrew? Mario Kart World looks incredible.
I needs it.
Here's the thing. After decades of Mario Kart, um, and finding ways to iterate, double dash and just all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff, right? Like over the years, and having had Mario Kart 8 launch on Wii U, not really hit the targets you would expect or you would want because the Wii U didn't really sell well.
right.
To kind of repackage it as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and release it to to the Switch audience, which had millions upon millions of people,
Hmm.
right? Number one selling game on the platform easily. And then to do the Nintendo Switch online piece, where it's like, well, we're just gonna keep adding new tracks. We're gonna continue to add
Hmm.
more stuff. And if you're a Nintendo Switch Online, if you're a Nintendo Switch Online member, you just get them. You don't have to pay anything extra, whatever. You could buy them, but if you're a member, you just get them. Download them and they're yours and they're there. It When you look at what happened with Smash Brothers and them just putting character after character after character, it really did kind of put this thing, at least in my head, and I'm sure many other people, like, oh, what can they possibly do with Mario Kart that isn't going to basically be Smash Brothers Mario Kart? Like, bring a bunch of new characters in and maybe give them exclusive abilities or an
Hmm.
exclusive thing that they can get, or something like that, right? But to essentially take Mario Kart and fuse it with Forza Horizon
Yeah.
and maybe the crew from Ubisoft
Right.
and just give you like a continuous, more or less open world and a bunch of different ways to play Knockout. First of all, 24 players in Mario Kart
Woo.
isn't
It's gonna get brutal in them streets.
that's insane. Um so what I will say is that I was pleasantly surprised and thoroughly impressed with what Mario Kart World is and looks like.
Same here. It was like
Now,
a fever dream for me. That's just like a version of Mario Kart I've had in my brain like for years. So to see like, oh, they actually did something like that, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I need this in my rotation. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I was $80 impressed, but we're gonna get to that. Donkey Kong Bonanza, I would also say is the like we talked about it even when we did predictions. I
Hmm.
think everybody was thinking it's been quite a while since we had Mario Odyssey. It's time for a new 3D
Something,
Mario.
yeah.
We're probably gonna get that. But I also in the back of my head was like, we know we're getting Mario Kart because they showed it to us in the first little baby reveal that they did.
Hmm.
And I don't know that I would put Mario Kart and the 3D
I
Mario
wouldn't
game
either. Yeah.
together in, you know what I mean, at the
I wouldn't.
same time. But it's like, what do you do? Oh,
I think they did
Donkey
the right
Kong, which
thing.
hasn't
Yeah.
had a 3D game since like the
Yep.
64.
Yep. I think it was a smart move.
I also think it was a smart move. And it looks like it might be made by the team that did
Yeah,
Odyssey.
and not too long after release too. I think that drops like beginning early or mid July. I think it drops the
Yeah.
Donkey Kong one. Yeah.
Andrew said, did you see Sonic tried to use Mario Kart to say they have one that isn't as expensive?
Yeah.
I did not see that. Um, but listen, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people jump on that. There was a part of me that thought briefly that they might rethink the idea of Mario Kart being $80, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Um, I think that they have made quite a decision. Um, what I will say about at this point Mario Kart being $80, there's definitely a bit of it that is just pure Nintendo hubris. We're Nintendo. It's Mario Kart. It don't really matter what we price it. People are going to pay for it. That's kind of where I think they are. Is it worth $80 or do they deserve $80 for it? That's hard to say. Um, my thought process on it is most people, I think, at this point have gotten to a place where they feel like games probably should be much more expensive than they are.
They should. We talked
Um,
about that plenty of times, on this show about like the cost that put into making a game, the time it takes, all the people behind the behind that you don't get to see. Everybody's got to be paid, and it takes years to put these together. Yeah, we've been living good off of $60-$70 for a long time now to keep it a buck. Like we have been. Like it costs millions to make these AAA games, and we're still only paying 60-70 bucks for them. So the move to 80 or 100 like GTA 6 is rumored to be, like, as I understand it, I may not be completely happy with it, but I get it, as I understand it. So yeah.
yeah, I mean, look, I think there's a bigger discussion to be had around the pricing, and we're gonna get there. Um, for now, where I'll put a pin in it is I paid those prices for Nintendo games when they were on 64.
Mm.
They were 70, 80, $90.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Yep.
real thing. Like that's not,
Yes.
you know what I mean? And I personally paid those kinds of prices for games when I was importing them from Japan to play them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ellis says also if I'm buying that 90 game, I'm assuming $90, I'm telling my wife or kid, you better platinum that entire game. Well, first of all,
Can't do that.
you can't platinum a
Yeah.
Nintendo. They were asked and they did confirm that Switch 2 games will not have any type of achievement system.
Okay.
Um, so that's not happening. Again, there's a broader conversation to be had about the pricing, which we're going to get to when we get into what's happening with the price of the console. Before we do that, I do want to touch on the one other thing that I think Metroid Prime doesn't really mean anything to me. I know it's a big deal for a lot of
It
people. I
doesn't mean
think
anything to me
there,
either. I wasn't excited. I was like, okay, like this.
it's just
I've had them all. I've never really got into any of them, but I've owned them all. Like, okay, it's Metroid Prime. Like, all right.
I prefer regular side scrolling Metroidvania Metroid to a 3D Metroid. I think that it is a better game and better suited as a 2D game than as a 3D game. However, I get it that it's a thing for people. And I will say, uh, hell, listen, stop. I will check all metrics for available for the game. Um, by all means, check the metrics. And I don't know if that's gonna happen. Um, Metroid is like, I will say that the coolest thing about it would be again what one of my predictions was like, look, first person shooters with the mouse mode,
Yeah.
being able to use the mouse
Saw
mode to
that.
control
Yeah.
it and shoot it. I think that there is a benefit there. I don't know how truly beneficial it is in an FPS that is a single player FPS. Because also like Metroid auto locks onto your enemies. I don't really know that you need like that pinpoint accuracy that they might give you with the mouse. But
Mm.
again, it's a cool feature. Overall, as far as like the mouse features, Sam, what did you think about like the mouse
I mean,
features?
first thing popped in my head was like, okay, this is the gimmick thing with they do all the controllers. I was wondering what was the gimmick thing. Like, okay, it was the mouse and keyboard kind of thing or whatever. I think it'll take for me actually having it in my hand to really tell how I feel about it because it's not as big as a normal mouse is. You know what I mean? Like it's slim, it's thin. Like I'd have to actually play with it to figure out how I feel about it. But I mean, it looks to be solid. You know what I'm saying, for it being part of a Switch. So it looks cool. It just I need it in my hands to actually feel how it feels to play with.
My honest to goodness opinion is Nintendo couldn't get Joy Cons and drift right on the analog sticks on the regular controllers, the Joy Cons, with all the stuff that was built into that. Having all that same stuff built into this, but then also having magnets, like the buttons being metal and it attaching to the system via magnet, and then also having it like it's an automatic thing. There's no button or anything that you use to turn into mouse mode. Like you just can turn it sideways
And
and it
just what
works in
starts
mouse
working.
mode, and then you can just turn it back and pick it up in your hand and use it like a
Hmm.
normal controller or Joy-Con. So it's just kind of automatic. And I'll be honest, I don't trust Nintendo to get that right. I have a feeling that there are people who are going to be complaining about their controllers one way or the other, whether it is the stick drift or something like that
Hmm.
down the line. I think that's happening to people. Like I just and I also don't think look, I think that's one of those things that's built in, and the Joy Cons cost you a lot of extra money because they built something like that in it, and it's only a thing that's going to be used for like the first year and a half
Yep. About to say,
that
yep, that's it.
the console is out, and then after that, if you think about all those games that came out when the original Switch came out, 1-2 Switch and all that, like most people, most games don't utilize any of that kind of tech, and so it's
Yeah.
just kind of there. Andrew said, "Remember, PlayStation had a mouse that went so well." Right, exactly. I mean, as did Super Nintendo. Now, look, if they had shown the mouse and shown me a Mario Paint or a Mario Maker or a
Yeah.
Zelda Maker or something where you were using
Right.
it to do that, or maybe even been like, I don't
Actually,
know, we're
I can
gonna
still, I
put
would say I can
like
still see something like Mario Maker coming down the pipeline with that feature added to the Switch. I could definitely see it coming.
I could see it coming, but
Yeah.
like to introduce it now while you're trying to get people to care about this new feature that's on it that you are charging people for. You know what I mean? Like it's there, but like what are we really using it for? Who's going to make use of it? Why would you make use for it? Nintendo is usually really good about giving you a use case for that kind of stuff, and I just don't think that they landed that with this presentation. Now, there is going to be a Mario Kart World presentation next week. It's coming on the 17th.
Hmm.
So, for all of what people have seen and people have played it, and there have been like previews and so forth of it, there's a lot of information we don't have.
Hmm.
And I will tell you that, like, Doug Bowser, the man at Nintendo of America himself, has been saying to people that are asking about price point and why is it so much or whatever, that like he feels like people are going to see the value of it. Like
During that,
basically, it's like let's wait till next week and see. You know what I mean, and
mhm,
see if people still feel that way or whatever.
when they see the full just Mario Kart World presentation, say,
Right.
okay, now we get why he thinks everybody's going to be on board with $80. Like, we understand why it's $80 now once we've seen it. Okay.
Supposedly, a couple things that have happened over the last couple of days. One, Hades 2, which has not released yet. Hades was a big deal
Hmm.
when the first one came out. People love the early access of Hades 2 and have put hundreds of hours into that game so far. It has been announced that Hades 2 is going to be a console exclusive when it launches to the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2. It will be on both Switches, but will be an exclusive. Which I find interesting. The fact that From Software is doing a console exclusive for the Switch is interesting to me at all. Jerry said people at work are already using the current Switch controller as a mouse at work while they draw. Are they? That's cool. I mean, I dig that. I'm not that. Listen, that is people basically hacking, like finding another use for something that isn't supposed to have that. Also using it for something that like Nintendo isn't behind, so to speak. So like
Hmm.
again, they put out a Mario Paint. I'll be honest. If they had shown a Mario Paint,
Yeah, they got you.
probably would have been like, I don't really care what else happens. I'm
Mario
buying
Paint, they
it.
got that.
I would have, yeah, like I absolutely adored Mario Paint. I played that thing for hours and hours. Like it was my first dive into animation,
Hmm.
coloring. We did music production in it, like everything. Mario Paint was everything. So if they'd have done that, I might have been like, I don't
Got
really
you.
care what else y'all say or talk about or whatever. Getting a new Mario Paint. Um, Game chat. So the C button
Is the chat button.
is the chat button. Um. All right. Okay. So, look, we've been asking for Nintendo to do something like this, to build something directly into it. Like on the Switch, you had to use the separate app to chat and blah
Hmm.
blah blah. Like it's always been kind of a problem, and Nintendo has always sort of gone out of their way to say that it was necessary for them to protect kids and so forth to not have those features be accessible, I guess, directly through console or whatever
Hmm.
it is. Right? And I'm not saying that clearly parental controls and that kind of stuff is important,
Yeah.
but it
Now we
just
got
always felt like, PR speak for like, we can't really do it. We don't really not, you know what I mean? Um, but I think it's cool that you can bring your four friends up on the screen. Like, I don't know, it feels obtrusive, but I guess it's cool that you can bring them up on the screen and invite them directly. They can play something separate or you can play together.
hmm
I guess it's also cool that they have their own Nintendo camera and they have one that looks like a piranha plant. I guess that's cool. You don't have to use their camera. You can use any USB-C
That's good to know.
camera, apparently. Um, taking your picture and kind of having to put you in the game is, I guess, the next evolution of me's. What's up, Zay? I guess instead of having a me, you actually have a you with your camera and you put yourself in the game. Again, it's a functionality that I don't think a lot of people are going to use. I think people are going to continue to use Discord like they've been using.
Yeah.
I like that it's there. There is, however, one functionality of the game chat that I do think could be cool and probably the coolest slash most important innovation in the Switch 2 is game share. It's the ability to take a game that one person has and share it with up to 3 other people locally, whether they are on a regular Switch or on a Switch 2. So it's you only need one. Now, again, this is a thing that kind of existed in like the Game Boy Advance or the Game Boy SP. Like, it's not completely new, but it's cool that you can do it. Now, if the other people that you want to share with have a Switch 2, then you can share games over the internet online using the game chat feature. So only one person has to own the game, and up to 4 other people can play the game. And there's a limited number of games. I actually have a list. Give me a second. I'm gonna go
Okay.
over the list. So let's see. Featured games compatible with Game Share. So Super Mario Party Jamboree, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, plus Jamboree TV. Big Brain Academy, Brain versus Brain, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Clubhouse Games, which is like Othello, it's like card games and stuff like
Okay.
that. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Super Mario Odyssey, and currently that's it. Um, Also, Game Chat is only available. Yeah, Andrew. No cord needed to share the games. It is shared remotely
Hmm.
from one Switch to another. Again, if it's local, it can be a Switch, a regular Switch, or a Switch 2 that you can share to. Only Switch 2 can share games, but regular Switch consoles can receive games locally. If you are
Got it.
doing, if you want to do it online, the game chat feature is only available on Switch 2, and therefore only Switch 2 systems can receive and share games online. Um, Now, as far as game chat is concerned, um, game chat is available to you if you have a Nintendo Switch online membership. However, they are doing like a like a trial period.
Mm-hmm.
So the game chat open access period runs until March 31st, 2026. And so for just under a year, you won't have to have um,
Nintendo Online.
Nintendo Online in order to use game chat. They want people to use the feature and be able to
Try
access
it,
it
yeah,
have,
and
and be
yeah.
able to try it. But March 31st of next year, you won't be able to do that anymore. What's up, Sam? Um, Now we got to talk about price. Um, you remember what your prediction for price was, Sam?
I think what was it 400?
I believe it was 400.
It was 400.
450.
Okay.
So that's not stopping you.
Nope.
500 with Mario Kart,
Okay, so then that's the one I'm apparently getting. Then okay, the $500 one.
which means that you're saving $30 on Mario Kart, because Mario Kart by itself
Yes.
is $80.
Yes.
If you buy it with the Switch 2 console, you're only paying $50 for it.
And it's the digital version, just in case.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But both versions, digital and they're
Hmm.
both 80. Like it's
Yeah.
not. Um, how do you feel about the price?
Like I said, when it first heard, instantly my instant reaction is like, damn, that is a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying, for Mario Kart. But then I'm thinking about like, well, Nintendo games don't really release with day one patches or nothing like that. They come out pretty solid off the break. So not worried about that. And for me personally, I pay pretty much $80 pretty much for every game I pretty much get nowadays. 'Cause I always buy like the deluxe edition or something like that. So it's not gonna be out of what I usually spend on games. It just means that my Switch library, Switch 2 library might be a little smaller going forward than what my Switch library ended up turning into. Depending on what drops and what versions drops on the Switch or things like that. It'll probably be just more like Nintendo based games and those rare like Japanese ones that come out that don't go anywhere else. I'll probably just stick to that with it. But
Mhm.
I understand why people are upset. It does seem like a big hit right off the gate, like Switch 2, $80 for a game, especially Mario Kart. But like I said in the beginning, like at some point these were gonna rise in price. And this looks like we've reached that effort. We're going forward. That just might be the new standard.
I mean, here's the thing. I think that people, one, 450 is a lot. It is a lot for a Switch. And I think the issue more than anything for people is that I think people don't realize that the price of the Switch never really dropped. And the current gen consoles, the Xbox consoles and PlayStation consoles also have not had drops. As a matter of fact, they have had price increases. So where normally we're used to a new console, Jerry said, I need that tariff free edition. Let me tell you, we're gonna get to that. I, um, People are used to, and we kind of talked about it when we did our predictions, looking for a price drop in the old console and seeing the new console come in at basically the same price that the old console was, right? And kind of filling that void. In this case, you have consoles that are technically still selling at their original price, and now you're putting out something that is newer and nicer. It's faster, it's more powerful, it's larger, it's got a better screen, the Joy-Cons are magnetic, they turn into a mouse. Like there's all these additional features that weren't in the old one, and the old one still has the original price it had. So you, without them announcing a price drop, you can't really expect that this price is going to be lower. Having said that, there are a lot of people, analysts and so forth, who think that Nintendo was trying to get ahead of the tariffs and just announce it at a higher price point because they're going to have to deal with that.
Okay.
What ended up happening almost immediately after they announced the price here in the US, people found that the Japanese version of the Switch 2 is the pricing on it is equivalent to only $350 US. So people are like, yo, why are we paying an extra 150, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so people automatically assume tariffs. Duolingo actually put out a tweet and was like, now's a good time to learn Japanese because you can get that Japanese only Switch and import it, right? By the time you import it, you're going to pay a bunch of extra money for it
Yeah.
anyway. It also only plays Japanese games, right? So unlike what has normally happened over the past almost 2 decades of console releases, consoles have been pretty much region free for almost 2 decades now. It used to be, oh, there's a Japanese one,
Yep.
and there's a US one, and there's a UK one, and this one does PAL, and this one does NTSC or whatever. That's not really the case anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. There's one version of the console, it plays everything. So you could import games, whatever, and it would work on your console if you really, really wanted something that bad that you just couldn't get here. In this case, oh yeah, Duolingo went hard on that one. Zayna said Duolingo's marketing is top tier. What also has happened in that time frame? Oh, I also need to make very important mention of the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour game.
Yeah. Okay.
Why are you laughing, son?
Because they expect people to pay for that. No.
People
No,
are
I
going
watched. I
to.
was like, oh, it's gonna come
I
with the.
bet you people are going to.
Yeah, I'm sure, but no, no, that's not happening. That need to be a
It's
free demo.
literally the manual / tutorial for how the system works, how to use the system, and they're charging $9.99 for it. And people are hot.
Yeah, I'm good. That should have came with it.
It should come with it. It should be
Yeah.
built in.
Yeah.
It should literally be already in there, and you shouldn't be paying.
Just slide one of them scan codes inside the box. We just scan it, we get it, download it, and call it a day. Like
Maybe they'll fix that. I doubt it though.
I doubt it too. It's Nintendo.
So literally like 2 days after they had the conference about the Switch 2 and announced the pre-order date and so forth, they have now delayed the pre-order date here in the US, and that is specifically due to the tariffs. So because of the tariffs and what happened literally like the day after they had it, they have paused the ability to pre-order. Nintendo is saying system is still coming out June 5th, but they have no idea when pre-orders are going to be a thing. They had also gone the extra mile to try to prevent scalpers from getting their hands on them by allowing you to pre-order directly from them. But in order to pre-order from them, you had to have a certain amount of hours played. You had to be a Nintendo Switch Online member, and you had to have a certain number of hours played on the original Switch in order to be able to pre-order it. Which is crazy, but I get it because scalpers are ridiculous.
Yeah.
There are people who are now thinking there is a possibility. Oh, they also today announced that they also delayed pre-orders in Canada. Nintendo had moved a lot of their manufacturing of the Switch 2 to Vietnam to try to avoid the tariffs. Right now, it doesn't look like that's going to work. And there are analysts that are saying that there's actually an expectation that they may come back at a higher price point, US and Canada. We could be looking at $600 to $700 for the Switch 2. It's a possibility, right? And I think this is going to be much more detrimental to the current games market than we could have possibly imagined. I don't think that there are people who are not gonna buy a Switch. I think if the Switch is $700, people are still gonna buy it.
I do too. Yeah, 100.
Like,
percent
yeah. Um. However, it definitely isn't gonna sell the way it would have.
No.
They just did, a presentation the week before announcing new games coming to the original Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have plans to put the original Switch to bed technically anytime soon. And whether or not the Switch 2 ends up being a Wii U for them in terms of how well it sells could very well be based on price.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Switch could be good enough. And when I say that, I mean that, again, we've talked about this, but 60% of all games that are played right now are games that released in the last 10 years. They're not new games. They're old games. That's what people are playing. People are playing games that they love, they already know, they know their way around them, and more importantly, they can play them everywhere. Minecraft,
Mm-hmm.
Fortnite,
Mm-hmm.
Roblox, GTA. Like those games, Call of Duty, like Warzone, like
Mm-hmm.
those games that have been around and came out years ago, more than 6 years ago or so, are the games that people are playing. Zayna says that's less than the price of some VIP concert tickets. There are 100% people who will buy it. Yeah. Just like there are people who will spend money on a Cybertruck, or there are people who will spend,
Mm-hmm.
like, it will become a thing that it's a big deal if you have one, right? Because you spent the money on it.
Right.
The question is, what are you going to play on it, right? Because you'll have to spend the money on it. And if the consoles cost that much and you can't get them out there, then you have to start selling the games for more. You have to sell them for more because you have to offset it. What I will say about Nintendo compared to every other console manufacturer is that Nintendo always sells their consoles with margin. They always make money on their console sales. They're the only ones who do. Everybody else sells their consoles at a loss and tries to make it up in the software. Nintendo sells their hardware and gains money in it, and then they sell you software, and very, very rarely do the prices drop on their software.
Very
Their
true.
games that come out at $50 stay $50.
Yep. All year
They're
round.
like, it's valuable. Like, this is the game you was gonna get 2 years ago is the same game you're getting now. It's the same length. It's got the same tech. It's doing the same thing. It's still worth $50,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Nintendo. So you just got to pay it. Re-releasing Breath of the Wild 1 and 2 as like Switch 2 special editions with like a second screen app for your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Nintendo's just being Nintendo. What's up, Leah? How are
Hey,
you?
Leah.
Hi and good night. It was great to see you at Awesome Con. Thank you for our bags. Greatly appreciate you. Nintendo probably actually could afford to take a hit on their consoles to get them out. And there's a part of me that thinks this might be the very first time they do it. That they may decide we should charge $600 or $700 for this. We're going to keep it at $450 and $500, and we're just going to bank on moving so much software by getting this in people's hands that will make the money back up, right? Like, that will more than make the money back up. Or we'll do enough to have enough people doing Nintendo Switch Online that will make it up on the back end, and it could really be the first time they take a loss on hardware. Sin, if the price breaks 500, are you buying a Switch 2?
No.
Okay.
I'll wait and find some other way to get it later down the line with a possible deal or something. Who knows? But no, not. I'd have to wait that out. Waiting to see if how long I can wait Nintendo out for that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I wouldn't do it.
Or at the
I
most
mean, to
start a
be honest with
savings
you, I'm
plan.
really not planning to do it at 450 or 500 for real. Like, I don't really have a need for Switch. Mario Kart looks like a great time. I don't actually care that much though. Like I just like it just don't what they're doing doesn't really appeal to me enough for me to spend the money for the console. And I don't care about I don't really care about From Software games other than Armored Core. Like those games don't really like I don't care about Dark Souls. I don't play them. I'm not interested in Dust Bloods. I think it's cool and interesting that they're getting it. I'm slightly offended that it's a Switch 2 exclusive. I think that's kind of crazy, but Nintendo going Nintendo and they choose to spend their money however they want to do it. And if they
Mhm.
manage, my understanding of it is that Dust Bloods was actually already planned for the original Switch, and Nintendo reached out to From Software, told them about the Switch 2, gave them development kits early, and they
Okay.
started making changes. But it was likely it was going to be an exclusive anyway.
Okay.
Um, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't personally for me, 450 and 500 is too much for a Switch, at least with the software that they've shown. There's nothing happening there that makes me feel like I have to be a part of it. I absolutely have to have it. I like if I wanted to really play Mario Kart, I feel like I could be happy in Mario Kart 8 and not be in World, but maybe they're going to do something that makes it seem like you are completely missing out if you don't do that. Um it doesn't specifically speak to me. Jerry said Penny said we are in at 500 out for over that until they drop a new Zelda. Until they drop a new Zelda. Well, I get that. Um and they will. You're probably looking
Eventually,
at
yeah.
2 years or more though before a new
I was happy
Zelda.
with the GameCube thing coming to like their online stuff. That Wind Waker was a part of it.
Yeah. What I will imagine is that whatever the next whatever the next Zelda is going to be, it will probably not release until the movie comes out. They'll probably try to get them to coincide.
I can see
Or
that.
like I think part of the reason why they made a decision to go with this Donkey Kong 3D Donkey Kong game is because they're doing Donkey Kong Land at the Nintendo World theme parks. So like they are kind of trying to time things to go
Hmm.
with other things they're doing. So if they decide that they're going to do some sort of Hyrule something at
Ooh,
the
yeah.
Nintendo World theme park, right? At Super Nintendo World, at Universal or whatever it is. And they have the movie, and supposedly the Zelda movie is going to be a trilogy.
Okay.
I would be trying to time the game with those things, and that's
Yeah.
probably what makes the most sense, right? Is to
Yeah.
kind of put them in tandem with those. I think Donkey Kong saw a huge uplift, an uptick in people, especially young people, caring about Donkey
Hmm.
Kong after the Mario movie.
100%.
Um, so I think that's part of why they decided to do it. I also think that made sense for them to now let's do a Donkey Kong World / Land or whatever at Super Nintendo World. It just kind of makes sense. Um, yeah, look, I think from an industry standpoint, um, oddly enough, Nintendo doesn't really set the bar anymore. Them making Mario Kart $80 doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else is gonna be like, oh well, Nintendo did it, so we can do it. Nintendo already did that. Like, really, there was no reason for like Breath of the Wild, not Breath of the Wild. It wasn't Breath of it's Tears of the Kingdom that was $70 on super old hardware that isn't what I mean, that doesn't even come close to doing what the current gen consoles are doing where they're charging you $70 for those games. I digress. It's Nintendo, and they've always had stuff, in my opinion,
Hmm.
in some manner that broke those kinds of price barriers. So I don't necessarily think that means that everything's going to be that. Nothing else that they have shown or talked about has a price point like that. But we'll see when they talk about it next week,
Yeah.
right? Um, on the note of a Zelda movie coming, boy, the Minecraft movie tore it up this weekend.
Okay. Kudos to them.
Blew everything else out, and I think did 304 million globally. People
Okay.
loved it. Now, apparently, um, kids don't know how to act, and they're in the movie theaters throwing milkshakes and stuff at the screens or whatever, because these kids. But um, it's a solid win for Microsoft.
Yeah.
To have the Minecraft movie come out and actually have the best numbers of a release for the year so far. Um, we'll see what Thunderbolts does
Yeah.
in a few weeks
Yep.
as we get closer to the summer and so forth. It is interesting to me that I think that the Minecraft movie has a very strong foothold already and only stands to continue to do better as we get closer to like Easter and the Easter holiday and people go on spring break. We could really see that movie get an
Yeah.
additional uptick that otherwise you wouldn't see it, because otherwise I would have expected them to hold off until it was closer to the summer, because it kind of feels more like a summer movie. But I think it being a spring release and being close to spring break for people is smart for what and who that audience is. Um, so not to dig too much into that, but I think it's cool. I'm glad that it's happening. Seeing video game adaptations come out and
And
do
actually
well,
work. Yeah. Feels good.
yeah, and whatever iteration they are is kind of special
Hmm.
at this point. As we're on the cusp of the release of Last of Us
Hmm.
season 2. I don't know if I'm ready for that. My anxiety is up about that.
Huh.
I'm
Uh,
just saying,
First thing popped in my head when I saw it was coming, I was like, okay, I gotta buy part 2 now so I can play it as I'm watching it, just like I did with part
well,
1. So
if you do it and you follow the story, then you know why to be anxious about it, boy.
okay, so
It's getting ready to get really,
matter of fact,
really,
with it getting ready to drop, I need to pay attention to PlayStation, see if they put it on sale beforehand.
or they don't because they know you're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
buy
like, but I,
it.
say,
Because,
I can at least keep my
yeah,
eye
like,
on it and just see, like, in case it drops in price or something like that. Like, okay, I can grab it.
I mean,
Finally started.
I guess. I feel, isn't it? It's not. It's. I thought it was one of the. I thought it's one of the titles in like the, not PlayStation Essential, but one of the tiers. I think.
I don't think part 2 is. I think part 1 is.
Okay.
But I have to boot it up to look at it again.
Okay. That might be worth taking a look at just to,
Yeah.
you know, kind of double check. Um. All right. Let's talk about Awesome Con really quickly.
Okay.
We did have Awesome Con this past weekend.
Hmm.
What I'll say again, like having Leah jump in and say hi and having a chance to see her, like not just Awesome Con, generally all of the conventions that we go to is always great to kind of see people and
Hmm.
read or whatever. Awesome Con is special because it's like a starter con. It's like one of the first cons we ever did any coverage at. We've been going there since the very beginning. And so a lot of the friendships and people that we know and that we met, that's where we know them from. Like it's
Hmm.
where we first formed a lot of those relationships. So there's that part of what Awesome Con is. Um Outside of that, Awesome Con felt different this year to
It
me.
did. Yeah, I do.
How so? What do you think is
I don't know. It wasn't. I'm trying to find the right way to put it. Like it wasn't as didn't feel as big and eventful. I don't know, or whatever. Like something in that area. I'm trying to get out. It was missing. Like I don't know.
the vibe was off. Like
Yeah,
the
like it just
energy
felt
was
weird. Yeah, and I don't know if that was because the way they flipped the entire floor around. So where the
like they mess with the feng shui of the joint.
yeah
like
yeah,
by like
everything was opposite the way it's usually set up. So it just felt weird a little bit. You know,
yeah.
when you first get there, like it was just the energy was off. I think so. I think the energy was just a little off. Unless you were there to see Steve, and then energy was super up.
I mean, yeah, I mean, look, I think that they had good celebrities, they had good guests. I think the flow was different. Again, we got a chance to see some new stuff, but even like a lot of the new stuff we saw, the people who we saw were like, oh nah, this is like my third year. You know what I'm saying? Or something like
Yeah,
that. It wasn't like they weren't necessarily new to being there. Even if they were new to us. I'll say that part of it, I don't want to completely blame it on the convention. It was unconventional for us because we normally go in and we're there all day for at least Friday and Saturday, and then we might do like a little less on Sunday
Hmm.
because we've generally done everything. But because we ended up having to leave early on Friday and Saturday and kind of cut things short, those days were also a little bit rushed. So some of our ability to kind of just like commune and then just like take our
Hmm.
time with like getting content was different. So some of it was us and just the way we needed to attend this year versus what we've done in previous years. But it
For good
definitely is a
reasons, though.
different vibe. Um, I don't know for a fact. I'm hearing through the grapevine that there is the possibility that someone a like so Awesome Con was purchased by another entity by Left Field Media a few years ago, and it seems as though it might be in the process of having that happen again, and they
Okay.
may be in a bit of a transition,
Okay.
and so that's kind of behind the scenes, under the table, kind of like you know there are some additional names on some of the things that normally just say Awesome Con / Left Field Media that have another name on them
Hmm.
now that wasn't there before. And so it just seems like maybe there's some transition that's happening that maybe had an effect on some of it. Overall, I had a good time. I always do. Again, it's always great to see people and
Hmm.
get a chance to kind of to chop it up with people who we generally only either see there or maybe at Baltimore. We don't generally see them or get a chance to hook up, and spend time with them or whatever other conventions. So that's always
Hmm.
good. Overall, I enjoyed my time. I spent more money than I intended to. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. You know what I mean? Like,
I behaved. Only bought one thing. No, I bought a couple tiny
no, I,
things,
I,
and
I
one.
was gonna say
I
no,
about to say I
you
bought a
didn't.
couple. Yeah, I bought a couple tiny things. Yeah, and a new One Piece figure. So
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, I got close, which is
yeah,
it. Also, wasn't all for me. Like, I didn't. It wasn't all me, but you
very
know.
true.
Um. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. So I dropped the link for sure. Actually, you know what? I'll take this link. I'm gonna drop it in our chat here, our private chat here. Excuse me, for you to see if you can share it.
Okay.
So you all chewing in the microphone. So here we go. There you go. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this trailer. This is an unexpected surprise today. I was happy to see, and I'm not sure exactly. I'm actually excited about it. I'll see how excited about it when we get to watch the trailer. Um,
All right. Let's give this a shot.
go large, go large. Get the chat off the side. There we go.
Yeah. Arcane vibe.
A little bit. I wouldn't currently say it's quite as well animated.
Ooh.
Okay.
You are old enough now. It's time I tell you about the monster.
Okay.
Okay.
We must kill it, or it will kill us all.
Yoink.
Ooh.
Hey. Let me tell you what.
That thing look tough.
It does look
That
tough.
thing look tough. I'm here for that. June 6th.
I might have to get involved, bro.
Yeah, I'm here for that. That is really good.
I'll be honest. Why didn't somebody do animated Predators a long time ago?
I don't know. It fits so well. Like,
it makes so why? Because Invincible finally came out and it's bloody and messy and like, you know what I'm saying? Like that. And it's almost like, again, like we've known that like they have hunted, like predators, they have hunted over the centuries. Like they would come here, and so like getting that kind of like that timeline. I like where it's taking place in terms of like the timelines.
Yeah.
But being that it's different eras and different places, different types of warriors is like kind of fire.
It'll be pretty interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of fire. There's a new trailer for the Thunderbolts that dropped yesterday.
Okay.
What up, Kay? Let me drop you this. Let me drop you this link. I did watch the Thunderbolts one. It's only like a minute. It's kind of like a short teaser. They do finally show the Void. I don't think it's worth like watching here. It's cool, but like that joint is so close at this point, and it's not like they did it's not a full trailer. They've done these other weird kind of like one-off trailers. I feel like they're going pretty hard trying to push it and promote it. You know, but this joint, I think
give me a minute. It's forcing me to watch a trailer for The Accountant too.
No, that's the trailer. What do you mean?
Okay, I thought it was what's the name?
Let me find out you can't tell when you watching an ad or not.
I'll tell you how barely I use YouTube. All right, here we go. Share.
I spent years looking for you. Do you not miss me because of me, or is it your condition? I'm just me.
Welcome to the Boise Romance Festival.
Did you see The Accountant?
Yeah, I've seen it.
How are you?
I just love accountants.
That's a coincidence.
I like camping.
So do I.
I thought I saw an Airstream in one of your photos.
Yes, that's my home. That's where I live.
Oh, permanently.
Well, as long as I'm alive. Eventually, this body will be a corpse.
What do you mean you reverse engineered our algorithm?
By tokenizing your questions in an embedding matrix and generating a predictive model for the most effective answers, which I provided.
Yeah.
Good morning, Dreamboat. Could we discuss business now?
Go.
Yo,
You like
anybody who
puzzles,
hasn't seen The Accountant,
Mr. Wolf?
Ray
highly
King has
recommend.
been murdered.
Yeah.
I need your help to finish the job he started.
Well, how does this all connect?
Most brains seek a pattern that's familiar. My brain doesn't work that way.
Braxton?
It's me, your brother.
Can you be in California in 24 hours?
But just call it. How have you been? Merry Christmas. Happy birthday.
But it's not your birthday. Birthday's November 11th.
Unbelievable.
Was your brother up to speed on the case?
So it's been a minute.
Braxton, thank you for coming. I'm really glad you're here.
Did she tell you to say that?
Yeah. Are you happy, Braxton?
Why wouldn't I be happy?
You're transient, you have no significant other, or...
Do what I want when I want it. Have gun, will travel. I mean, yeah. I think we gotta go get drunk. That's my big brother up there. Never some dancing. Here in cowboy country, we don't mess with another man's girl.
You're from Glendale, Gerald.
It's okay. My brother wasn't having a good time tonight, but now he will.
You could whoop somebody.
Punching somebody in the face who's got it coming.
Steal a cowboy hat.
Got that number, dog.
Hey.
We go over the plan again.
Plan.
Braxton, thank you. Are you ready?
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm applying sunscreen. More than twice as likely to develop melanoma as adults.
Can I get a little bit of this?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Like 2 weeks.
Right around the corner, yep.
I think that joint's gonna be a problem, bro.
I don't need to rewatch the first one. I haven't seen the first one in a very long time.
The first one, that joint is clean, bro. It's a sleeper. It's old though. Like they waited a long time to do another account, which is fine because I'm not positive it did that well. I haven't looked into it, but I'm not positive it did that well. I would definitely though. I'm definitely recommending that. All right, so look, we beat the drum about the Switch 2, the games that are coming, the pricing, the tariffs.
Yep.
We talked about Awesome Con. Now it's time to find out what's going on with Anime Chat. What's happening in Anime Chat?
Thursday, the next episode will drop Thursday, 10 a.m. We get into Mecha Anime and where have they gone? Like, what do we think happened? Will they ever make a resurgence again? We dig into that. Some great news to cover. And with the spring season just getting underway, we got Noah and Gabby's takes on a couple new things they watched over the weekend. I wasn't able to because I was at Awesome Con with the guys, so I'll be making my point to catch up on those this week. So, yeah, we got all that stuff for y'all to look forward to.
Sounds good. I don't know what's happening in wrestling, but I do know that Jokes and Marcus are planning to record something and put something up soon because there's always wrestling. WrestleMania is
next weekend,
around the corner, as around the corner as it gets. So keep your eyes peeled for that for sure. We are behind on our spoiler boys for Daredevil Born Again. We're catching up this week, so we'll get that done and look for that to drop for you by the end of this week. We're gonna have to do like a 3-episode smash together. But that's cool. There's a lot of other stuff coming. We need to knock this out because we got Andor coming. It's getting ready to turn into a problem. Oh, did you see the trailer for the new Star Wars Legend?
No.
All right, hold on, give me a second. Those dogs. Hold on. I'm trying to think of what. It's Tales of the Underworld. Hold on. We have to. Oh,
Okay.
that definitely wasn't the plan, but bruh. Like grab that link. Yeah, so lots of spoiler boys are going to be coming your way because again, there's a lot of content happening. Obviously, we'll do one for Thunderbolts as that's coming. We are planning to reevaluate our top 10 MCU content, for lack of a better way of putting it. There are so much more than just the movies now with the TV shows and so forth. And there are so many more. There's so many more movies that have come out since the last time we did a top 10 for the MCU that it is definitely time to revisit that and kind of see what's changed, where things are, how important we feel like things are. So we'll definitely be doing that and having a healthy discussion around what that is. Let's take a look at this.
Okay.
Just do as I say. Never can be too cautious with strangers out here. Then again, you're no stranger. Lady Ventress.
We got a problem here. Just saw him right in.
Okay.
What's the situation?
He was your best friend.
Things have changed. You took everything from me.
Who are you?
I was Count Dooku's lead assassin. I don't want that life anymore.
Bane? No one needs to die.
Get them.
You're gonna pay for what you did. This revenge, I hope it was worth it. It will be.
Yeah, they're going to got potential.
Hey, bruh, Star Wars Day, May 4th.
Yep. Okay.
Series of shorts. I'm with it. Like,
yeah. In and out. Yeah.
let's do it. Hey, bruh, I love Ventress.
I know.
Love Ventress, bro. I do. Zayna said, "Oh, let's go." 100%. Super. I love Ventress, bro. She like super underrated. They just never did quite enough with her. I'm about it. I like Ventress with bangs. with the side bangs.
Yeah.
Blondie with the blondie bangs.
Good
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, look, we're getting ready to get out of here. For those of you who are Patreon members, we do have a question of the month. We're gonna knock out for you. Episode of Snacking and Hanging coming for y'all next week. You know, good chance for y'all to see and get some behind the scenes of kind of what it is, and just kind of hear us chop it up and talk about things that are going on. Most of the time that happens as we're prepping for this show, which oddly enough takes probably a little more work than most people realize to kind of get everything together and links and all that kind of stuff. But we have a system, and that system tends to work pretty well for us, whether joke shows up or not. So I think it's good. Keep your eyes again peeled for content that we have coming out of Awesome Con, not just to YouTube, but also to Instagram. We have some reels and stuff that are hitting. Kay did a lot of work and hit a lot of stuff up. We got some new music coming from Kay, which is exciting. He's also put together some new music specifically for us to use here. So you may have noticed a change up when we did our movie club for Labyrinth. But yeah, we're gonna wrap the show up. Sin,
Yep.
Is there anything I forgot?
No, I think you covered it all.
Okay. Well, then remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea. With that, we're out. Toodles and lose.
Loading snacks.